TVC News senior reporter Habida Lawal still live with me on the coverage of the U.S. election. Very quickly, Habida, talk to us about the possibility of some other results coming in, especially from swing states like Wisconsin. Right. Let's have Boye answer that question. Talk to us about the possibility of some of these results coming in, especially for states that are, more callable.
Not something you can really call at the moment. It's result tight. It's tight. It's 1 point here, so we have to wait for all the results to come in before. I don't want to make a prediction and it goes already wrong. So we have to wait for the polls to come in. I mean, in 24 hours, we'll have a better idea, a clearer view of where things are going on, generally speaking.
Now let's look at regional voting patterns. Some states in close proximity to each other often share similar voting patterns due to cultural, economic, and possibly historical ties. When you look at some of the northeastern states such as Vermont, New Hampshire, they tend to vote Democratic, while the southern states like Texas, Georgia, and Alabama often vote the Republican. How's voters, enthusiasm and some of the demographic shifts that we've seen in recent times play a crucial role in determining the outcome of this election?
So a lot seems to have changed over the last couple of years in the United States. There have been a lot of migration during and after COVID. For example, Texas has 2.5 million new voters this year. So Texas is meant to be red, Republican, deeply red. But we don't know if they want 2.5 million new voters. Are they going to vote Republican? And who are they going to pitch their tents with? So this has happened all over the country. Some states have lost their people in their states to other states. So it's a shift here and there. And like I said earlier, we'll be analyzing the results in the next couple of days to see where things are going on generally. Like you said, some states vote along same lines. We have the blue wall of Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan. And we are seeing polls coming from Iowa, which is next to those states. We are seeing polls that seem to be leaning Democratic. Is that what's going on? We are going to be able to tell after the results come up.
Well, we've seen some results coming in from states like Pennsylvania, which is, to an extent, the biggest prize among the battleground states, offering about 19 of the 270 electoral college votes a candidate needs to win this presidency. And nearly 2 million ballots have already been cast, according to information from the State Department data, which shows that roughly 1.8 million mail-in and absentee ballots had been returned as of Monday morning, which is about 80% of nearly 2.2 million approved by the state counters. How do these latest polling numbers in key states like Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Florida also indicate the current direction of the election?
As I mentioned earlier, it looks like there's a lot of interest and people are turning in their votes. Unfortunately, we won't know what's going on with those results until after today, because for Pennsylvania, they have to count the votes from today before they go back to the mail-in vote. So that's why it's a little bit dicey. And in 2020, we saw one candidate lead by about 600,000 from the same day results. But by the time the mail-in votes were counted, everything turned the other way around. So it's difficult to call the way those results are. And Florida also, it's interesting because a lot of things happened in the last 10 days of campaign. We're going to see how the voters in Florida also respond to all that happened.
Let's talk about, the rundown to the election, especially when you look at some perceptions about the persona of the candidates themselves. And of course, their last-minute speech yesterday while concluding their campaign. We've seen Donald Trump continuously cast doubt on the election electoral process in that sense. How does this reflect in how voters will be able to participate in this election?
Each year followed the campaign all along. They are contrasting candidates. One person is preaching hope, peace, optimism, and the other person is preaching hatred, gloom, and it seems to be the reason people are coming out in droves. Now, when we see the results, we'll know if it's the optimism that won or the hatred, because it's clear the way both candidates have conducted themselves, what they have said out, what they have said to the populace, how they are seeing things. One person sees America as being great, one sees America as being on going down. So we will see, by the time we're analyzing the results, we'll be able to tell which of these two positions has won, which of the two positions has resonated with Americans, which of these positions is driving Americans out to vote. We will be able to tell at the end of the day.
And while waiting to analyze this result, there is the concern about Kamala Harris being not black enough, according to what the former President Donald Trump said, and what this election will really mean for Africa in that sense. So let's bring it home. What will this election, especially if we have a Kamala as a president, what will it mean for Africa in terms of economy and immigration?
I mean, generally speaking, Democrats have been seen to have a softer spot for immigration in the way they handle immigration and all that. So, generally speaking, that should mean good for Nigerians and Africans. We know what happened when President Trump was in the office for the 4 years. There was a ban that affected Nigeria as a country, for example. We don't expect that to come from someone like Kamala Harris. So those are the different clear things that we can see. And of course, Africa is a jewel for everybody. Everybody wants to work closely with Africa. I believe there will be a closer relationship compared to what we experienced when President Trump was in charge. So we should expect things to improvements in relationships and collaborations in various forms if Kamala Harris wins the presidency.
Well, it's a historically tight race, but of course we're positive and hopeful that the best man wins in this election. Global Affairs Analyst Boye Akinokun, thank you for joining us on the news this hour.